It's a wonderful shortcut. We used to have to organize these. So notice that I have an audio bin and I have a ProRes bin. Up here, you can look at these files in a list view or thumbnails. And if we look at the audio thumbnail, you'll see an audio waveform usually. Let's click on that. So here you see what the audio looks like. And then there's this, which is, I like. It's a list view with a thumbnail. And so that works for this too. Let's set this up. I like this because then you can see the order of things. And now what we want to do, okay, if we double click an image, it will go into the source window. Let's put these all in here. There they are. Okay. You can select them with this pull down. Okay. So you can put them all in the source browser and then you can pull it down like this. And you can pick out what you want to start with. Okay. So you want to pick a frame that you want to start with. Let's just say you're picking this frame. What you want to do is to select, let's say I want to start here so that I have this woman in the frame. I'll hit the I key to set an in point, or you could also mark in with this. Then I'll go to a little further down, so she comes in, and put an out point. Now I'm ready to splice in. This is the splice in button. So when we do this, it wants to know where to put the sequence. So we're going to choose this for the sequence bin and say, okay, that's the timeline, otherwise known as a sequence. After you save your sequences in the sequences bin, we want to change the title of this to exercise 2 _ last name. That will set the name of the project. What we want to do here is to deselect this. We're going to deselect this media and just drag down the audio 3 times. And we're going to put the audio here, hit the end key, and you'll go to the end of the show. You can put this in the source window and splice in and splice in. If you want to see the waveforms, there's a little arrow down here. Right here there's an arrow down, and if you arrow down, it opens up this sound palette area, and you can click waveforms so you can see the waveforms. Okay, so let's just see how the music is going. It ends and it has a kind of a space. To utilize your playhead, you have to either be in the time code, which is this area, or click the mouse in this gray area. Okay, we want to pull that back. So what we can do is we can mark an in, and we can mark an out. And then what we'll do is an extract. So we have the extract button, which is a key like cutting or lift. Lift leaves a space. I'm going to hit Command Z so you can see the difference. If you hit the lift button, it leaves a space. But if you hit the extract button, it closes the gap. So we want to close these gaps by putting our playhead here, do an in and an out, and hitting the extract button. Now we have music that goes to here, and what we'll do is put an in, go to the end, hitting the end, the home end key, out, and extract. So this show is running 48 seconds, and that's going to be the length of your montage here with the 42 clips. What I want to do here is to deselect the audio so that it's not going to be interfered with the video. So we will make sure that the video is turned on. And let's put something in the browser window. Let's say we want to put this on top. What we're going to use, we have one clip in here already. So what we can do up here is put an in and an out. And here I'm going to use what's called the overwrite button. And let's see what's happening. So it did put a little piece in there. So essentially we have so far. Oh, it should be showing us over here the representation. Oh, we have to have the monitor on, that's why. That was a little bit short, so that we can extend that just using the trim tool. Here's the trim tool types. We've got overwrite, and we have double-sided and single-sided trim, both turned on. It's a smart trim. I guess that's the end of the shot, so it couldn't be longer than that. But what we could do is here we have the segment editor, which we can select. And what we can do is select this and move it downstream and then pull this back. So that's basically the size of this clip. And then what we can do is put it back in its place. Okay. We wanted that to be a little bit longer. So you're going to be practicing in and out with either the mark in, mark out buttons or IO on the keyboard. And then ultimately build this out over this, so you're utilizing all of the shots, and then you're going to be putting your logo in front. So when you put your logo in front, what you'll do is deselect all of these and hit the splice in button. If you deselect everything and put it in, it won't interfere with the synchronization. At the end, you can splice in your tail title. Okay, so just to review, we're going to do a little quick review. We want to be in the edit mode here when we're working, and you'll see your bins, your bin container, the source and record window. I've applied some color to this by clicking on the color and adding contrast to that shot. I want you to do that. If you wanted to adjust any contrast, you have to select the actual clip, not the icon. You could go into the color and just see what this looks like if we add contrast to this clip. That brings out a nice warm tone. This is actually a color grading download. You can see that that makes things pop a bit. So why don't you work on a little bit of color and then return to the edit window. And so the main thing we're learning here is how to use the extract and lift button, mostly the extract button, marking in and out with IO on the keyboard, the JKL keyboard shortcuts, Command 3 to bring up, we don't have to bring up the palette. We're learning that, let me just also bring these up. We have go to the next edit. Then once your show is completed, let's say that we've built this all out, I will do a selection. Well, I'm not going to build it out right now, but when you're ready to export, you will go to Output, Export the file. Now this is going to be important. You want to tell it to go to the exports. You're going to name this Exercise 2. Your last name. And you want to go to Options. And the options show the settings here. You want to make sure that I'm going to take a screenshot of how this should be set up. It's defaulting to the last time it was used. So you want it to be on HD 1920 by 1080. 23976. And then you want the movie file not to be DNHR, but H264. And so I'm going to pull this down so that you can see the settings here. Make sure that the audio is on. PCM is fine. Let's put this up here so we can maybe see the whole screen. Right, that's almost the entire thing. Oh, let me move it back. There. I'll bring this all the way down. Okay, we're going to say that's going to be that. Now this timeline is called this, and exporting output, export to file. Here's my it's already named nicely. Options, so we can maybe see the whole screen. Right, that's almost the entire thing. Oh, let me move it back. There. And save, and save, and replace. So now it's exporting my file. Okay, I think we've got it covered. Let me just do output. I'm going to make a cheat sheet. Export to file. We've got then you want to click Options. When this comes up, you have the settings. When you save it, you want to make sure it's going into the exports bin. And save. And quit. If I deselect the audio, I can simply drag all these down into the timeline. They will exceed this. So what would be helpful to know is on a single-sided trim, what you want to do is a single-sided trim. You can trim these back, but what you want to do is to enlarge the size of this track. You can also expand it down here. This is a scroll bar to expand the size of the track. Anyway, what we want to do is if you activate the trim tool here, you can have both of those highlighted. And this is the segment editor, so have both of these highlighted. This is overwrite and splice in. It matches the other icons, and it matches these colors. But notice this is kind of a smart tool. If it's down on the lower, it turns into a single-sided. So you can pull these back and shorten your edits if that's how you want to do. To go to the next edit, what we can do is Command 3, bring up the palette here, and make sure that we have in the editing tools, we want to be able to go to the next cut. That might already be here. This is a useful tool that you want to make sure you have on your toolbar. It's actually already here, Add Edit. You can add an edit there. If you want to select everything from the right and the left, you have these here already. That's selection, so you can move everything down. But going to the next edit, that's what I'm looking for. Oh, I know, it's up here. I think that if we're in the timeline and we go to the next edit this way, this button takes us to the next edit, and this takes us to the previous edit. Here you can add a red marker by hitting the M key. So let's say that we want to scale the bar. That's going out, and this, we want to be able to go the other direction. That's really getting into some of the detail there. Oh, okay. So basically down here, if you want to zoom in, you can click zoom in. If you want to click here, you can zoom out. Zoom out, zoom in. Oh, here you zoom in. This is zooming in, increasing the size of your track, and this is zooming out. It decreases the size of the track. Okay. There's a couple of other things. Video quality menu. There's toggle step in and step out of like a nested clip. You have your hamburger menu here. In the hamburger menu, you have some various things that you can decide in terms of how you want the clip color to be and markers and so forth. All right, now that I have all these in my timeline, what I'm going to do is to zoom in and pull back with the yellow trim tool. I'm going to pull these back. I want to zoom out a little bit. Zoom out, zoom in. Here, let's zoom in a little bit so that we can see more clearly. Let's do this. Now, the other thing you can do is with the M key, you can hit a marker when you hear a beat. So let's play the video, and then we're going to add markers. I'm adding markers. Okay, we have to do a button-to-button reassignment on the marker. Let's hit the Command 3. And what we want to do is define markers, which is in the, so this is the command palette. Okay, here are your markers. So let's just add a green marker. That's going to show up nicely, or a yellow marker. That will really show. Okay, what we want to do is a button-to-button reassignment. So what we want to do is to go up to Tools. No, we're going to go to File, Settings, and pull up User Settings. And then what we want to do is we want to set this to the keyboard. So we're going to do Keyboard, and what we want to do is open the keyboard. Let me make sure this is clear. We're in we go to File and Settings. In the settings, we bring up this and we go to User. Now you can park the settings over here so that we have them parked on the side. We can float that panel. We don't want to lose our bins. I'm going to close the settings there. Okay, so we keep our bin structure here. We've got the bins and the bin container over here, source and record and timeline. Now we have the button-to-button reassignment. We've got the keyboard open. We're going to be using these for multicam editing, but for now what we could do is to say on the M key, we're going to put a marker. So let's put the yellow marker on the M1 key. Okay? And close this out. Now what we can do here is play this and hit the M key when we hear a beat. So I'm going to hit the space bar, and I'm hitting the M key. I don't see the markers coming in. Oh, it wants to edit the marker. All right, that's not working. Oh, we want these to be on. And let's try that again. We don't want to edit the marker. Okay, keyboard. All right, let me see if I can deal with this. Let's not do markers. We're just going to do, we're not using markers. Let me undo those markers. All right, so forget that. But what we want to do is to have stuff in the timeline. All right, so we've built out our show with all of the clips. I'm going to cut it off here. In, go end, out, and lift. So with your head title and tail title on, and your show built, if we want to show icons, we have a hamburger menu down here. And what we want to do is to select the hamburger menu and say show track, and we want to select film. Now when we select film, then we can see our thumbnails. Okay, that makes a big difference. It might slow it down a little bit to have these. If you hit the L key twice, it will go in fast motion. I like to use these JKL keyboard strokes. L goes forward. Once is normal speed, twice is faster, and then we get really fast. If you hit the K key, it stops, and then the J key goes in reverse. Same thing, you can speed it up. This helps you to navigate the timeline. You can stop it with the K key. So get your right hand on the keyboard, hit the JKL keys. That's part of the learning today. JKL keys. Now, when you're going to export, make sure everything is turned on and that you're ready to roll here. So now that we've decided that we like our edit here and we've got all the shots in there, let's see, there's one thing that we could do more, which might make this a little interesting, is let's go back to this and find the tiger in the tree. All right, let's put the tiger in the tree, and we're going to overwrite here. I'm going to put it in right here. I'm going to put an in mark in the timeline and an in and out. So it will overwrite the clip that length. Oh, it actually overwrote. You can see it overwrote the music track. So this needs to be turned off when you do the overwrite. What I want to do is to select this and do some color on it. What we do is go over here to color. Okay? So you can see it's not quite contrasty enough. And what I want to do is to increase the contrast. Look at the difference. Okay, so that's one thing we didn't go over, and we'll go over it. Over here you have your edit, color, effects, and audio. And you can bring up the audio mixer, the effects window. If I bring it up, you can see the effects. You have filters, transitions, audio track. We're going to get into that a little bit later in the course. But it's good to understand your interface here. Now, if you wanted to see thumbnails here, you need to make sure that everything is turned on. Before outputting this, you want to make sure that everything is turned on and you don't have these muted or soloed. Okay, so now I'm ready to output After you finish the edit, what you'll do is put your head logo by deselecting everything. Then don't forget to turn it back on. These need to be on before you export, and make sure the monitor is on this track. If you have 2 tracks, it has to be at the top track. Now we're ready to export. So what you want to do is say File, Output, Export to File. Up comes a project screen. You can see it already retains the label that we gave it. In the sequence settings, you need to hit the Options button. The options are set so that you make sure it's on movie, video, HD 1920 by 1080, 16:9, 23:976. Then this changes to H.264. We don't want DNxR or any other setting here. And that all looks good, so we say save. Now we're ready to save, and it's going to be, you want to select it going into your Avid exports folder. So save. I already did this one, so I'm going to put V2 and export. You can see it tells you how many estimated time. Sometimes it's a long time. This is a short piece, so you shouldn't have a problem. Now, if you do have a problem with exporting, sometimes what you need to do is to render the entire track by putting an in mark at the end, an out mark at the end, and go to render all. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Okay, so now what we're going to do that we've exported, we want to save the project, save all bins, and quit Avid Media Composer. Now, while you're editing, you can hit Command Save, Command S, and it will save. And so then you're going to quit Avid Media Composer and leave. And it basically is saving things for you for next time.